Okay, here we are. I've been putting off the video for too long, so I guess we'll just get into it. NXT reactions. NXT Women's North American Champion, so Ruka faced Carmen Petrovic, won the match. It was a non-title match, so this led to a segment backstage where Kalani Jordan said, "When I was champion, I was fed all the time. You had a non-title match. What you doing?" You know, basically staking a claim at the champion, you know, taking a jab at her. Zarya, our best friend, who we know has been given funny looks for weeks because she is mad herself that she did not win the title, has now stepped up to Kalani Jordan and said, "Look, you want to go to Soul Ruka, you want to go to the championship, go through me first." So that's a match we're going to have next week, and obviously Kalani Jordan's going to win. Kalani Jordan is going to be Soul Ruka's opponent for Battleground. But let's not ignore the bigger long-term storytelling that Triple H and, well, Shawn Michaels really is telling. Because we know these two like their long-term storytelling. That's a tongue twister, right? It's going to be that Zarya is mad. She didn't win. She's mad she couldn't stop people from getting to Soul Ruka as the champion. Eventually she's going to take her own shot at being the woman. Let's not forget, Soul Ruka and Zarya weren't always best friends, and they weren't always a tag team. When I was first getting into NXT, Soul Ruka and Zarya were trying out a new partnership. You know, Zaruka. Sounds like Veruca, but you know, they were trying out a new partnership. Luckily they've stayed together. But let's not forget, they've always not been amazing friends. So Zarya is definitely coming after that title at some point. But to me, my prediction so far is that in Battleground they're going to have Kalani Jordan go for that title. Speaking of Carmen Petrovic in the match, she was, before the match, was speaking to Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley backstage. Which is ironic because WWE have now released Gigi Dolan, which is sad. You know, she could have went out on a tag team title match, instead she went out on a backstage segment. But I suppose our last match was a tag title match, but still, you know, releasing Gigi, what the fuck, man? Like, she was literally just in a tag title match. She won a match at Stand and Deliver with her tag partner, and now you're releasing her. What are you doing, right? But anyway, Carmen Petrovic is talking to them. Dennis Shanti put her in this match with the champ. Don't know why she's mad about it, but she said she wasn't ready. Anyways, after the match, when Ashanti was getting it after losing, she turned on Ashanti. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but she kicked him in the head. You know, beat him up. I'm guessing maybe they're done. Who knows, who cares, right? Speaking of backstage segments, Noam Dar is back as the Heritage Cup champion. You know, he beat Lexus King last week, and he reunited with Oro, Jakara Jackson, and Last Legend, obviously the Meta Girls, and Meta 4, who I understand was the faction, were reunited. Only for a matter of seconds though, because they said while they were all there together, they all somehow came to the clever idea at the exact same time that they think they'll all be better off solo, and that they'll go their separate ways. Now, I want to say, does that mean the Meta Girls also are split up and Last Legend and Jakara Jackson are now single superstars? But I guess it doesn't matter, because Jakara Jackson, just days after this episode of NXT, was also released. So I suppose it doesn't matter, and Last Legend will be a solo superstar, as it seems, which is, you know, you could see that coming, because, you know, they've always had the eyes on Last Legend as a big powerhouse, and Jakara Jackson was just a tag team partner, so that sucks. Fuck you for that. Again, WWE just make no sense with their releases, you know. It's not like they're releasing people that they're not really using, you know. Like, the only ones that sort of made sense was like Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Like, they genuinely weren't used, but they were just brought back. So again, that didn't make sense. But regardless, NXT North American Champion Ricky Saints defended against former Heritage Cup champion Lexus King. You know, and Lexus King wasn't mad about last week because he still had the shot to win the NXT North American Championship, which Ricky Saints later retained and stayed that way. I don't think they've got any feud building for Ricky Saints for Battleground. You know, the Ethan Page rivalry, I think, has been over too quick, you know. They put him in that match with Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver too quickly, and the feud's gone too quick. Like I said, Ricky Saints won the title too quick. Sean Spears lost the title too quick. And it meant that Ricky Saints Ethan Page feud lasted about 3 weeks, and after one match at Stand Deliver, it's gone. Ricky Saints could have won the North American Championship against Sean Spears at Stand and Deliver, because Sean Spears didn't have anything to do with Stand and Deliver anyway. So Ricky Saints could have won it at Stand and Deliver. And then we could have had the feud with Ethan Page, the big former AEW, now WWE superstars. Both with success early on in their WWE careers. And we could have had a battleground match, and then the following pay-per-views coming. We could have had a 3 pay-per-view feud or a 2 pay-per-view feud. But no, they just rushed it to get it at Stand and Deliver. And now it's over, and it's stupid because there's no direction for Ricky Saints. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see no direction anyway. Right? Now obviously we know last week Yoshiki Inamura sort of tricked Eva, manipulated his way into a tag title match for him and Josh Briggs to take on Hank and Tank. Now obviously Hank and Tank retained those titles. Just it is what it is. You can't complain. Joe Hendry, actually, TNA World Champion, kicked off the show because, you know, last week after Stand and Deliver, Trick Williams came out to cut a promo on Obafemi, and he was interrupted by Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry basically berated him, whatever. Then Trick Williams showed up at TNA's pay-per-view event that had on at Sunday, and Trick cost Joe Hendry a match, or he beat him up, I don't know. And then so Joe Hendry came to NXT and called out Trick Williams, and actually called Trick to the ring before Dark State came and attacked Joe Hendry, which later on led to a backstage segment after Hank and Tank won their match, where Hank and Tank agreed to team with Joe Hendry against Dark State, which I believe is happening next week. That's exciting match, exciting times. And then Trick Williams later did come out to address Joe Hendry, but also I feel like they did this to announce that Trick Williams is going Hollywood, because Trick Williams is most certainly Trick Williams is starring in a series. I don't know if he's starring, but he's done some acting jobs apparently, just like Liv Morgan. And he's going to be in something, but he's not going to be written off WWE. But then Eva also announced that there'll be a 25-man battle royal. They called it a battle royale next week, and the winner will face the NXT champion Obafemi at Battleground. This is a tricky one, because looking at the names that were in it, the only 2 people I could see winning would be Trick Williams or Javon Evans. This is how I think things go. I think Trick comes this close, Joe Hendry costs him, Javon Evans wins. Right, at Battleground we have that Javon Evans Obafemi one-on-one match that we need. You know, I said Javon was going to go after that title, and I'm still thinking he will, so I think we're going to get that. And then we're going to get Trick Williams, Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship. And as much as WWE would want Trick Williams to win, I would purely think Joe Hendry would win, you know, because he's the TNA World Champion and don't want it changing on WWE. And then the following pay-per-view, Trick Williams is finally going to get his one-on-one shot with Obafemi for the championship, where Obafemi wins, and that's Trick Williams' way out of NXT. Took the 2 biggest matches he could have, took every shot at the titles he could have, and he'll be called up in the draft, if there is a draft. Hopefully there's a draft. That's what I think's happening. I think this is very good long-term storytelling. I nearly fumbled it. And I see it. I see the plan for Trick. I do see it. It was a bit unclear at Stand Deliver, but it's narrowing down now. You know, he could have went to the main roster already, but there's still more time, and I think they're utilising that time while they can. Is there anything else? There is. Is there? Yeah, there is. Roxanne Perez and Julia teamed up. You know, obviously they've been going to Raw, attacking Rhea Ripley and Women's World Champion Io Sky. Roxanne Perez and Julia teamed up. Obviously they wanted to fight Women's World Champion Io Sky, who came to NXT, by the way. She came home to NXT. Jordan Grace agreed to team with her if it gets her a step closer to the Women's Championship. Well, this match ended with Julia and Jordan Grace like literally brawling, not wrestling, brawling to the back. And then we had another 5 minutes of just Roxanne Perez, Io Sky wrestling classic shit, right? Just amazing shit. Which resulted in Io Sky pinning Roxanne Perez and winning the tag team match. And then Stephanie Vaquer was like, Ava, who am I facing at Battleground? And due to Roxanne getting pinned, Julia and Jordan both fighting each other out of the arena. Julia wanting a rematch, a one-on-one rematch, and Jordan Grace wanting that championship. She said it'll be either Julia or Jordan Grace, so they're gonna face each other because of the beef from the brawl, but also for a shot at the title. So we're gonna get Jordan Grace versus Julia. The winner will face Stephanie Vaquer at Battleground. Roxanne Perez isn't in that picture because she doesn't need to be in the NXT Women's title picture, because her, as well as Trick Williams, will be moved up to the main roster. I'm calling it, I just know it. Right, there it is. That's my prediction and my reaction. Review of the show, not a bad show. Honest to God, it wasn't that long. Like, me watching this days later, I mean, Netflix or WWE had cut out all the ads and all the prolongedness, so I think it was only an hour and 20 minutes. I like that. It wasn't hard to watch whatsoever. It was actually quite a decent show, so I'd probably say better than last week's show. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. SmackDown review will probably come tomorrow because it is Monday. Raw is happening in a matter of probably about 6 hours. No, it's not. It comes at 1 o'clock. What time is it? It's 8 o'clock nearly. 5 hours. Raw will be happening, and I've not even watched SmackDown yet. You know, it happened on Friday night. Could have watched it Saturday, I just didn't. I could have watched it Sunday, I just didn't. But from what I've heard it was long and boring, but I'm still going to watch it because SmackDown should be my favourite brand. But WWE just do not put a rocket ship on SmackDown. In fact, they put every B storyline on SmackDown, and I've had enough of it. It's bullshit. But John Cena being there and Randy Orton feud should lift it up. Because SmackDown, everyone should bleed blue, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm waffling now. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.